father, and author of 24 books, including 12 bestsellers that have impacted readers around the world. And most don't know that he has also written 5 children's books. John has worked with a number of successful pro and college sports teams. He helped this team win the Stanley Cup. He helped this team win a World Series. He helped this team through the challenging times to make it to the NBA Finals. He helped this team make it to the Super Bowl, and this team win 2 national championships. John has also worked with many of the greatest leaders and spoken to many of the best companies in the world. John speaks at large conferences and small gatherings of executive leaders. He was number 10 on the list of top leadership speakers in the world, just behind these 2 guys. When he's not speaking on stages or Zoom, you can find him hosting some amazing guests on his popular podcast, Positive University. He's the co-creator of Daily Positive, Power of Positive Leadership Training, and Power of a Positive Team Consulting to help leaders build stronger teams. John is a graduate of Cornell University and has a Master's of Teaching from Emory. He is passionate about education and created the Power of Positive Schools initiative, an energy bus for schools to help school leaders enhance their leadership, culture, and student impact. His mission is to develop positive leaders, build stronger teams, and encourage and inspire as many people as possible, one person at a time. He's learned from the past, gives his all in the present, and is excited about helping you create your future.
Good afternoon, Legacy Traditional Schools teachers and administrators. I'm Nicole Kirkley, Chief Academic Officer. How well can she use
Gotta turn it on.
Rewind. Hi, Legacy teachers and administrators. I'm Nicole Kirkley, Chief Academic Officer. It's so great to be in the room with all of these faces today. Surprise, Avondale, Goodyear, and West Surprise. We're happy to have all of you live in person. And hello to all of the Legacy educators joining us from our schools across the valley. We're so excited today to have John Gordon with us. It has been quite a past few years in education, as we all know. I see half smiles out there as to what I'm referring to. So thank you for all of your hard work. We are so excited for this unique experience. But first, I'd like to thank 2 special people that made this happen. Omar Al-Hadi in HR is the one who had the vision of working with John Gordon and making this possible. And then he worked with a large team led by Larissa Kuda, our principal coach. And because of them, today is possible. So if we can give the 2 of them a round of applause. And without further ado, let's give a warm Legacy welcome to John Gordon.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I never got a standing ovation before I spoke before. I just have to say this place is incredible. This school is incredible. Do you all feel fortunate for being here? Yeah, it's well, I feel very fortunate to be here. I'm honored to be here with you. I first want to just introduce 2 members of my team, and they both live in the Phoenix area. And we have Marlo, who's here. Just say hi, Marlo, to everyone. Stand up, Marlo. And then we have Petra Krebs right here, and Petra, our Power of Positive Schools and our Energy Bus for Schools initiative. She's very involved in that, and they both live in this area. Marlo and I met, I was here speaking to spring training to the Dodgers. And I was looking for an Uber ride back to the airport. I'm thinking, there's no way I'm gonna be able to find an Uber driver at this point, at this time, because everyone was coming to the game, not leaving. And so as all these cars were driving in, I I hit my Uber button. Next thing you know, it says, your car's already here. I'm like, what? How could that happen? There was a door sitting right there. The door was open. The person had just got out. It was like the door. I was like, he was like, oh. I get in, and Marlo was the driver. Yeah, and she was going through a very difficult time in her life. This was about 4 years ago. And we started talking, and I said I was a speaker and a writer, and I said, had you heard of my books? And she's like, no. But that was okay. And we just started talking, and I just thought she was so great. And Ann used to do a lot of the running of my business, and I said, Ann, we should have Marlo work with us in some capacity. And so she started working with us at Positive University, my podcast, and then eventually Ann had to leave to take care of her parents who were dying. And so she went to go do that, and Marlo stepped into that role. So we've been working together ever since. So I just had to tell that story because you just never know who you're going to meet, where you're going to meet them, and how your life is going to change. And she is amazing for what I do, and I'm so thankful I have a great team like Petra and Marlo. I just want to say that. I'm thankful for being here today because I have to tell you, I'm not just here as a speaker. You may not have known this, but I also have a master's in teaching, and I taught, you should know, for a year. It was a long year, but I taught for a year. You know what I did after that? I opened up a bar. I hear some people saying, I can understand. True story, opened up a bar after that. But I taught long enough to know and appreciate the work that you do and the difference that you make. And I often ask myself, like, why did I get my master's in teaching? Because I paid for it for myself. Why did I do that when I only taught for that 1 year? It was to learn all that you do. It was to experience it, because now I get to work with so many school districts around the country sharing this message. And if I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't know. But I also know what you've been through for the past 20 months. Because I've talked to so many teachers. I know how challenging it's been. I know the adversity that you faced. I know that there's been no other time like this in our lives. And I just appreciate what you did and how you did it. Because I have heard how you persevered, how you stayed positive along the way, and ultimately how you made it through to make a difference. Can you give yourself a hand for the impact that you had by doing that? Do you feel like you overcame? Do you feel like you're still overcoming? Come on, who feels that way? By the way, I'm only as good as your energy, so I just want you to know I need your energy today. I know it's the afternoon. I know you're probably tired. I know it's been a long year, but we are going to get energized together because we're talking about the energy bus. It's not the tired bus. It's the energy bus. I love it. I love it. And so along my journey, I've learned that there is a power of a positive educator. There is positivity, and it truly makes a difference. It truly makes an impact. And when I think about positive educators, I think about the ones who changed my life. And they were the ones who truly were positive. They cared. I'm going to talk about that later on. But I just want to say it all starts first and foremost with the culture that we create. You walk around the buildings and I can actually see and feel the culture. You see the messages on the wall. You're here, right? When you're here together, I can feel your energy, and that is a part of your culture. Culture is not just one thing. Culture is everything. Culture is not just one person. Culture is everyone. Everyone here creates the culture of Legacy Traditional Schools. Everyone does. We all create the culture of it. And so do our students, right? And culture is not static, it's dynamic. And every day we are creating it by what we think, by what we say, and by what we do. And people often ask me, like, what is culture? How would you define culture? It is this. It's the living, breathing essence. The living, breathing essence of what an organization values, believes, thinks, says, and does. And every day we have to remember, we are contagious, right? We've been hearing that in a negative way for the past 20 months. But hope is also contagious. Kindness is contagious. Love is contagious. Passion is contagious. Purpose is contagious. We are contagious every day. And every day we're bringing that energy. And we could be a germ or a big dose of vitamin C to the people that are around us. That's the energy we bring. And it matters, right? Because that's the culture that our students feel. And a big part of culture is knowing what we value and knowing what we stand for. Like, what do we value? What do we stand for? What do we want to be known for? So tell me what you all stand for. Just someone share. I love hearing from people what they stand for and what their mission is. Family. Love it. What else? Doing what's right. And by the way, one thing I've learned as a speaker over the years, the genius is not on stage. It's always in the audience. My job is to unleash the genius that you already are. What else? What do you stand for? Inspiration. Love that. Gratitude. Advocacy.
Seeing the beauty in the world.
Wow, seeing the beauty in the world. Knowledge. Loyalty and honesty. Curiosity. Who do we stand for? Who else do we stand for? Students. See, I can tell that's what makes this place different, right? When you know that you stand for the students, when you know what you stand for, every decision you make is easy. It's always about what we stand for and remembering that. Every organization today has a mission statement, but only the great ones have people who are on a mission. And every day they show up living that mission for their students, knowing that it's about the students. Like, we have jobs. We exist because our students are here, and we are here to teach them, to serve them, serve their talent, serve their mind, serve their heart, serve their growth, serve their potential. That's why we are here. It is to serve them and make an impact in their lives. I know that's part of your vision, right? To positively impact the lives of your students. And that's why we exist. That is so much part of this culture and what we do. And the walls and all the words on the walls, they must come alive in the hearts and the minds. And even the days that we're tired, even the days that we're drained, once we remember what we stand for, then every decision we make is easy to act a certain way, to bring our best every single day as we finish strong. And a big part of culture then is our vision and purpose. So positive educators have a vision and purpose of where they're going and why they're going there. We all need a telescope and a microscope. See, the telescope is the big picture vision of where we're going and why we're going there. It is our vision and our purpose. We don't get burned out because of what we do. We get burned out because we forget why we do. It's about remembering that vision and that purpose of where we're going and why we're going there. It's like marathon runners. When do most marathon runners quit the marathon? At what mile? Guess. 21. 24. Anybody say the first mile? The least amount of people quit in the first mile because you're just getting started. Someone the other day said the 30th mile. A marathon's only 26 miles. I thought it might be the last mile, the 26th mile. But the second least amount of people quit in that last mile. Even though you've been running the longest, running the farthest, people don't give up in that last mile. Why is that? Because you're almost there. Because you can see it, you keep on moving towards it. It shows the power of our mind. The body is physically tired, but the mind says, keep on going, you're almost there. Most people quit in the 20th mile. The 20th mile is where we're physically tired and then mentally drained. So what happened? What happens? We lose our vision. So we stop moving forward. Keep your vision alive and it will keep you alive. So what I want you to do, if you have a handout, I want you to write down when your 20th mile is. We all have a 20th mile. You might be saying it's right now, today. You might say it's February and March, perhaps, right? But write down when your 20th mile is, and then next to that, just write down, keep my vision alive. Keep my vision alive. Telescope and microscope. I had to have a telescope and a microscope when I wrote The Energy Bus. Who here's read The Energy Bus? I'm just curious. Okay, all right, 4 of you, awesome, that's great, 4 of you. For those who haven't read it, it's about a guy named George who's miserable and negative. His team at work is in disarray, and he has problems at home. And he was really easy to write about because he was based on me and my own personal struggles with negativity and adversity, to be honest. So he was really easy to write about. So I write this book, and it gets rejected by over 30 publishers. I'm told to give up. But I can't give up because I have my vision and I have my mission, and it's to encourage and inspire as many people as possible, one person at a time. So I kept on hoping, kept on dreaming, kept on putting it out there. Through all the rejections, finally John Wiley and Sons agreed to publish the book. So now it was coming out. I was so excited. I asked a friend, what should I do? He said, pray. So I prayed for it to be a bestseller. It came out. It was a bestseller in Korea. I learned you have to be specific with your prayers. It was like this huge hit in South Korea, but not one bookstore in the United States would carry the book. It wasn't big in North Korea, by the way, but it was big in South Korea. So I went on a 28-city tour, paid for myself from city to city, sharing the message in the book. And we had 5 people in one city, 10 people in another, 20 in another. The most we had were 100 people in Des Moines, Iowa. They thought Jeff Gordon was coming. That's why they showed up. The race car driver. That's not a joke. That's a true story. When I got home, I didn't know what the future held. But I knew that I had this vision and mission, and I just had to keep it alive. And that was 2007. Here we are, 15, 16 years later, and I get to be with you all today, living that vision and mission still. You see, when we keep our vision alive, it keeps us alive. Why do you do what you do? What is your vision? I'm going to wake some of you up, because I can tell some of you are falling asleep. I didn't come here, seriously, I didn't come here for you to fall asleep. I came here to engage you, to talk to you, and I would appreciate your energy, okay? You have a vision and a purpose. You're here for a reason. You matter, and what you do matters so much. You make an impact every day. But if we don't keep that vision and purpose alive, it will tire us out. We will get drained. We will get downed along the way if we do that. We have to keep it alive. Now, our microscope is really essential. And to do that, I want to encourage you to pick a word for the year. One word to help you finish the year strong, right? One word that's going to help you be your, is that working? You just instead cutting it out? Okay. So I guess I'll keep this on too. All right, is that better? Is that better? One word. No? Can you shut the mic off? The head mic? Okay. One word to give you meaning and mission, passion and purpose. So I was at the school district recently, and there was a woman, she was a teacher, and she was awesome, and she picked the word endurance. She told her students, I will outlast you. And then we had a principal, and he picked the word retirement. I said, no, that's not going to energize you. That's not going to motivate you. So he changed the word to finish strong for the year, to be his best, to finish strong. And it really helped him finish strong as a principal. What word is going to drive you to be your best? What word is going to give you meaning and mission? The favorite word that my wife ever loved that I chose was serve. She loved the year that I picked serve. After the end of the year, she's like, okay, what's going to be your word next year? Selfish? I've never seen you do so much. I said, no, it's now a part of me. And so she wants me to pick the word cook this year. We're still debating that. But what word for you that have you picked, or do you think has come to you that you want to pick for this coming year? Just shout it out. What's your word? What word? Resilience, okay? Because we need to be resilient more than ever right now, right? Courage, love that. Joy. Gratitude. Proactive, love that. What else? What else? Any other words? Rejoice, amazing word. Amazing word. Balance, great word. Moderation. If you haven't picked a word yet, pick a word, and you may even want to do it like New Year's Day to start the year off right. But a lot of times teachers will start the school year off with their word. But it's amazing what happens when teachers all pick their word, and then that word becomes a reminder every day of what they can focus on, how they can be their best. Think about you driving your energy bus forward, and you pick your word, and you put it right on the front of your bus as you move forward. And every day, it's a reminder. You see, I was talking to a former Navy SEAL named Chad Wright early in the pandemic, and everything was shutting down. We didn't know what the future held. It was a really scary time. And Chad said, you know, John, a lot of guys trying to be a Navy SEAL don't become one because they don't make it through Hell Week. He said they don't make it through Hell Week because they're dreaming for it to end. They're longing for it to be over. He said the ones who make it just want to make it to breakfast. And I realized that was the key to getting through that challenging time or any challenging time. It was to not worry about tomorrow, but to win today. And if we can win today, we win the next day, we win the day after that, we will win the future. We just have to make sure that we are winning each day to be our best so we can be our best for others. And hopefully your one word will help you do that. I did have a teacher the other day. She said her word was vodka. Everyone laughed at that. But hopefully we pick another word that will drive us to be our best. Positive educators don't just have a vision and purpose. They don't just create a great culture. They also lead with optimism and belief. They fuel their ride with positive energy, and that's what the Energy Bus is all about. Now, please know, this is not about Pollyanna positive. This is not about rolling your eyes. This is not about seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. This is knowing that we have the power to overcome the thorns. This is not about ignoring reality. It's about maintaining optimism, belief, and faith in order to create a better reality. It's not about sugarcoating situations like this past 20 months and how difficult it's been. It's about knowing that we're not going to allow negativity to sour our situation. We do have to stay positive on this journey. Have you ever taken a journey in your life with your family and a trip, and you had to go through all sorts of chaos to ultimately get there? But somehow, some way, it ended up being a good trip. So my family and I, we were traveling from Jacksonville, Florida, where we live, and we were going to Maine, first time ever going to Maine, connecting in the Philadelphia airport. We arrived an hour and a half late for our connected flight. And we landed in Terminal A, and we're leaving from Terminal F. And I know in Philly you have to connect at C16, which is really far from A. You get to C16, you have to take a bus shuttle, which then takes you to F. I looked at the screen, and we had 10 minutes to make our connecting flight. I'm thinking there's no way we're going to make it, but we have to go for it. So I looked at my wife and children. They were 8 and 10 at the time. I said, all right, guys, let's start running. So there we were now running through the airport. Those who travel recently, have you noticed more people running through airports? They are running through airports again, I promise you. They are doing it again. The other day I was running in the Atlanta airport, and there was a woman who was running by me, and as she ran by me, I said, go, 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 I believe in you, you can do it. She was really struggling. I want to encourage you to do what I do, cheer them on. That's what I do all the time. And so she gave me the thumbs up like this as she ran by. I don't always get that response. I was in LaGuardia in New York, and I cheered this guy on, and he gave me the finger. True story. But I turned a negative into a positive. I said, that's right, you're number one. So that was us now. We're running through this airport. We're huffing, we're puffing, we're doing our best. And finally, we get to C16, and there are no bus shuttles there. I look at the watch, 5 minutes to make our connecting flight. There's a woman she was in charge of all the buses. I said, how long did the buses get here? She said, 4 minutes. So my kids start crying. We're not going to make it. We're not going to make it. So I turned to them. I said, you have to stay positive. You have to believe we're going to make it. I'm telling you, we're going to make it. I turned to the woman. I said, we're going to make it, right? She said, you ain't going to make it. The bus arrives. We got on the bus. We got to Terminal F. It's the last gate. 1 minute to make our connecting flight. So now we are sprinting down Terminal F as fast as we can. I have to admit, I left my wife and kids in the dust. I was getting on that plane with or without them. And just as I arrived, guess what happened? Who thinks that the flight was delayed? Who thinks they shut the door right in my face? They shut the door right in my face. I said, ma'am, my wife and kids, they're in their way thinking that would help. She said, I'm sorry, sir, there's nothing I can do. I said, you don't understand, we have all these plans. All the flights are booked. We'll have to stay overnight in the airport. It will ruin everything. We have to get on this plane. She said, I'm sorry, sir, the plane is pushing back. Look. And my wife and kids arrived in that moment. We walked to the big window, and we saw the small plane. There it was right there. And as we're watching this plane push back, we're just so dejected. My kids are crying. We realized that we could see into the cockpit. We realized that we could see the pilots. We realized that they could see us. We make eye contact. So my wife and kids are jumping up and down, waving to the pilots. About a minute later, the door opened. A woman came out, and she said, it worked. They're going to let you on the plane. We walked down the stairs on the tarmac. They stopped the plane. The passengers were not very positive. We took off. We landed. Another miracle occurred. Our luggage made it too. A true miracle in Philadelphia. So we're driving away in the rental car. I think, okay, great teachable moment for my kids. I said, so what'd you learn from this experience? And I think they're going to say, you know, Dad, I want to stay positive. I learned to believe. My 8-year-old son said, you know, Dad, I learned to just keep running. And I said to my wife, I said, you know, there's so much truth in that. So often the key to success is that we just keep running. We stay positive, and we never give up. Life is not a marathon. Being a teacher, an educator, is not a sprint. I know your jobs. I know it well. It's a series of sprints combined with a boxing match. We're not just running, but we're getting hit along the way. And optimism is a competitive advantage. Would you agree with that? Optimism is a competitive advantage. It is a game changer. It makes such a difference. And I got to tell you, my son, he's 21 years old right now. He said that when he was 8 years old, and he really struggled last year with the quarantine. He really struggled with the isolation. He really dealt with some mental health challenges, like a lot of kids over the past 20 months. I saw firsthand, right, how some days it's important just to show up each day and put one foot in front of the other to try to overcome, to keep moving forward. He's doing better now, but it was a really rough time. And so I have so much compassion and so much understanding for anyone who is going through a tough time then or right now. Like if you're not okay, it's okay to not be okay. Trust me, this is not a Pollyanna positive message, just stay positive. No, it's okay to not be okay. We just don't want to allow that to take us down a spiral staircase of depression and despair. What we want to do is lift ourselves up every day and so that we can lift others up. We want to feed ourselves each day so that way we can feed others. And the more we do, we can have a greater positive impact. Research from Duke University shows that optimists work harder, get paid more, and are more likely to succeed in business and sports. What the researchers found was that these optimists, because they believed in a brighter and better future, they took the actions necessary to create it. It became a self-fulfilling prophecy. So often, what we believe determines what we create. What we believe right now about the end of our year, what we believe about our students, and I know that positive educators believe in their students more than they believe in themselves. I know that you have an impact on your students' lives because of your belief. Leadership, being a teacher, is a transfer of belief. Would you agree with that? Would you all agree with that? It is a transfer of belief. Every day you are transferring your belief to your students. Do you know the number one factor in student learning? Research from John Hatie. Who knows? Collective teacher efficacy. Collective teacher efficacy. Do we believe, as a group of teachers, do we believe, a group of educators, that we can impact our students' lives? If we believe together, the research shows that if we believe it together collectively, that group of teachers will then take the actions necessary and help those students have extraordinary outcomes. So just that collective belief of a staff that we can leads to we will and that we do. It's incredible that the research shows that, because we often think, oh, belief, positivity, oh, that's just nice feel-good stuff. No, the research is clear that if we believe it, we will take the actions necessary to impact our students' lives. Collective teacher efficacy all goes to belief. And if we don't have it, we can't share it. So every day we need to feed ourselves in order to feed others. My daughter wrote her college essay, and it said this: when I was young, my mom struggled with her health, and my dad struggled with himself. I watched as he worked to become a more positive person because I was quite negative. And my wife did almost leave me because I was so negative. And I really had to work at becoming more positive. I grew up in Long Island, New York. Yeah, that explains it, right? Jewish, Italian family, a lot of food, a lot of guilt. A lot of wine. I think you'd find that funnier, but a lot of wine, a lot of whining. And so my dad was a New York City police officer, undercover narcotics. Yeah. He was awesome. He was shot a few times in the line of duty. He was a very loving man, but just one of the most negative guys on the planet. You'd get up in the morning, you'd say, hey, good morning, Dad. He'd say, what's so good about it? My dad was Al Bundy before Al Bundy was Al Bundy. I just realized some of you have no idea who Al Bundy is. But growing up in that family, it did make me want to be a more positive person, but I struggled with it. And when my wife gave me that ultimatum, I knew I had to change. So I began researching all the ways that I could be more positive. This was during the emerging field of positive psychology. We're talking 2002, 2003. And so now I'm taking all these ideas and I'm practicing them. I'm trying to put them into use in my life, and I'm sharing these tips with others. I had 5 subscribers to my newsletter at the time: my mother, my brother, my best friend from college, and I'm sharing these ideas. And over time, right, I started to do this work and people started to follow me and read it and so forth. But I do know that I know this. Being positive doesn't just make you better, it makes everyone around you better. I know the more we feed ourselves, we can feed others. I know that negativity often comes into our minds. And the best advice I ever heard is from Dr. James Gills, the only person on the planet to complete 6 double Ironman triathlons. Double Ironman, which means you do an Ironman, and then a day later do another one. Anyone ever do an Ironman or a triathlon? Awesome. I can't even swim the length. So he was asked how he did it. He said this: I've learned to talk to myself instead of listen to myself. He said, I've learned to talk to myself instead of listen to myself. He said, if I listen, I hear all the fear, the negativity, the doubt, all the reasons why I can't finish this race. But if I talk to myself, I can feed myself with the words and the encouragement that I need to keep on moving forward. Honestly, who here needs to talk to themselves more instead of listen to themselves? Who just doesn't feel like raising their hand? So, the more we do it, the more we feed ourselves, the more we can feed others. This is so important because our kids struggle with this on a daily basis, with negative thoughts, with fear, with anxiety. Here's a great question. Do your negative thoughts come from you? When I work with professional sports teams, I always ask them this question. Do your negative thoughts come from you? A lot of people say, yes, they're in my head. Here's the next question. If you believe your negative thoughts come from you, who would ever choose to have a negative thought? Would you ever choose a negative thought? I wouldn't. This always blows people's mind. We would never choose a negative thought. It just comes in. When you're dreaming, having a nightmare, are you choosing those thoughts? No. They just come in. A great idea comes in sometimes, and that's a positive thought. It comes in. But thoughts are always coming in. They come from consciousness. They come from the internet cloud of consciousness. They are the software. The brain is the hardware. It's where activation happens. So we're always downloading thoughts into our hardware. But here's the key. Just because you have a negative thought doesn't mean you have to believe it. So don't believe the lies that they tell. Instead, speak truth to the lies as Dr. James Gills does and did, right? And the truth is, you're here to make an amazing difference. The truth is, you were never meant to be average. The truth is, the reason why we want to do great things and make a great impact is because deep down there is greatness within you. Why would you want to be great if there wasn't greatness within you? And the reason why we want to be great is because there is that greatness. We just have these negative voices say, you're not enough. You're not going to make it happen. The future is hopeless. We're not going to be able to be successful. I'm not going to be able to overcome this health problem. Whatever it may be, those thoughts are always coming in. But don't believe the lies. Continually speak truth. And what happens is when you do that, you walk in that truth. You walk in that power when you do that. So feed yourself every day in order to feed others. That goes to encouragement. The word encourage means to put courage into. Hey, everyone. Let's all wave hi to the students. Hey, everyone. That's what it's all about, right? So when we encourage ourselves, when we encourage others, we're putting courage into. The word encourage means to put courage into. And so when you encourage your students, you're putting courage into them. When you encourage yourself, you're putting courage into yourself. Truett Cathy said, how do you know if a man or a woman needs encouragement? If they're breathing. We all need encouragement. And Zig Ziglar, he was a famous motivational speaker years ago. When he was alive, he was told, hey, Zig, motivation doesn't last. And Zig would say, neither does bathing. It's why you have to do it every day. So we got to encourage ourselves, encourage our students. And here's the best way to feed yourselves with gratitude. Every day, take a walk of gratitude. I call it a thank you walk. It's beautiful here in this area, so you can take walks outside. But you take a walk of gratitude, and while you're walking, you just say what you're thankful for. And the research shows you cannot be stressed and thankful at the same time. So if you're feeling grateful, you won't feel stressed. And every day by doing that, what happens is you are flooding your brain and body with these positive emotions that uplift you rather than the stress hormones that slowly drain you. And if you do it for one day, it doesn't do a whole lot. But think about the garden of your mind. The garden. If you weed the negative, feed the positive. Do it for a week. Do it for a month. Do it for a year. Do it for 7 years. I've been doing this for 19 years now. That garden of your mind starts to look a lot more fruitful, and you start to produce amazing fruit
in your life when you do this day in and day out. Practicing gratitude. When you appreciate, you elevate your mood, your performance, and the people around you. It is so powerful when we do this. We can teach our students this, and we can help them feed themselves every day. We can help ourselves by feeding ourselves every day in order to feed others. And anytime we're going through a challenge, we can always ask ourselves, what is the opportunity here? This is essential. How can we learn from this? How can we grow from this? How can we get better because of this? My son, during this past year, we said, how can we grow from this? How can we get better? We are so much closer now as a result of that because we took the challenge, and I made it a priority. I said, I've got to take the time to invest in my son because he was a competitive tennis player, and I was a speaker on the road. And so out of this tough, difficult time came this really, it's not a perfect relationship, but it's a much better and a much stronger relationship where he knows me so much better, I know him so much better, and for the rest of our lives, we will now be closer because we took the challenge and turned it into an opportunity. Gallup did a study, and they asked people to identify the worst event in their life and the best event. And they found an 80% correlation between the two. An 80% correlation between the worst and the best. So often, the worst event leads to the best if we're willing to learn, grow, and improve as a result of that. Have you become stronger because of this past 20 months? Yeah. I had a teacher the day, I asked them, what did you learn about yourselves this year? And she said, I learned that I was stronger than I thought. I was more resilient. I loved your word resilient. I was more resilient than I realized. And I believe that we all realize that about ourselves, right? Stronger. So this challenge led to incredible growth. Discomfort always leads to growth. Discomfort always leads to growth. And so if we are willing to be uncomfortable and move through that, we will grow in amazing ways. Again, we can't control the events in our life, but we can control our positive response to that event. And so often that will determine the outcome. And how we see the world determines the world that we see. So feeding yourselves every day, feeding others, leading with optimism and belief, creating a positive, contagious school is essential. But it starts with everyone here, right? Everyone creates the contagious energy of it. And so one person can't make a team, but one person could break a team. Everyone is contagious, and so if we all bring positive energy, that creates the collective energy of a school. Like I'm working with a sports team. Every time I show up at a sports team during training camp, do you know how positive they all are? This is training camp. Why are they so positive during training camp? They're undefeated. They haven't lost a game yet. So they're undefeated. How many of you start the year where we're fired up and positive? How many are still that fired up and positive right now? All right, awesome. So the key is to make sure just we feed ourselves every day so that we can be more positive for our students and make an impact. If you don't have it, you can't share it. So that's the essential part of that. Now, we talked about negativity. Sometimes we will deal with negativity, and the energy bus, we talk about energy vampires. People who suck the life right out of a room. People who can't make a team, but people who will break a team. So I was speaking to the University of Georgia football team one time, and I'm speaking to this team. They all read the energy bus, and after I spoke, they lost the first 2 games. So I thought I ruined them. So I sent Coach a text and said, I still believe in you all. He sent me a text back, John, the guys are staying positive. They're still on the bus. In years past, we've allowed energy vampires to sabotage our team, but not this year. This year, we won't allow it. In their big meeting room, they put a huge picture of an energy vampire on the wall. And anytime one of the players was being a vampire, they took their picture from the media guide and they put it on the wall. Now, I'm not saying you should do this here, okay? I can see it now. Teacher of the month, vampire of the month. But I am saying that they went on to win the next 10 games in a row, making it to the SEC championship game. And I learned that a team that stays positive together succeeds together. And that's what it's all about. And so one of the decisions that great schools make, and you know this, we will not allow negativity to sabotage the work that we're here to do, our mission, and the difference we're here to make. We're not going to allow it. And once we make that decision, that helps us build a more positive school. You saw probably in the intro that we have an Energy Bus for Schools program where we work with schools around the country and they adopt a curriculum to build a positive culture, right? And so we're in all these schools, but we had this one school where the principal said, John, we have this teacher and we're doing everything. But this teacher is saying, I've been here before you, I'll be here after you, and I'm not changing. What do we do? And this was not a charter school. This wasn't like your school. They couldn't just get rid of the teacher. And so, no. So, we're not talking about you all. This is not about you. You guys are awesome. We're not talking about that. This is in South Carolina. So we said, just keep on building your great culture. Keep building great culture. Like, try to get her on the bus. Do everything you can. If she doesn't get on, that will be her choice. But you keep building your culture so strong that if you do, she probably will get off the bus herself because she doesn't feel like she fits in. And so they kept on building their great culture. They kept on focusing on it. They kept on making it a priority. This principal did an amazing job with the school. And at the end of the year, this teacher went up to the principal and said, I can't do this anymore. This place is too positive for me. She said, I feel like I'm getting run over by the bus. And she left. She resigned. And now she's on another bus somewhere else. But after she left, this school in South Carolina, morale improved, like engagement soared. All the teachers were so much happier. And it was because this one person didn't want to be there, and it sabotaged everything. And so our vision, our mission has to be greater than all the challenges that we face. Our optimism and belief has to be stronger than all the negativity in the world. And our purpose and our passion has to be the focus of truly what we do. And we have to make sure we don't allow negativity to sabotage our mission. Because in school and business, in the world, so often it sabotages us. And we have to remember that we are more important, and our kids are more important than all of that. And that leads us to 3 words I want to share that are like the cornerstones of being a positive educator. And the first word is love. It is love. Like, I truly know that your love is what makes a difference. When I think of love, I think of the bus driver I met that inspired the Energy Bus. I was in Denver. I got on this bus shuttle. He was taking me to the airport. And he was smiling away. He was so happy. And I said, why are you so happy? Because I wasn't very happy at that point in my life. And he said, because I love life. He said, I love you. He said, I love me. And he said, I love God. He said, it's all connected, you know, and I love it all. I was so inspired. One day I'm walking, and when the idea for the Energy Bus came to me about a bus driver changing a passenger's life, I knew I needed to write it. As I started writing, I realized, no, it was a female bus driver. She was the wise sage. She was the leader. She was the mentor. I wanted her to be the teacher. So this bus driver's name was George. And so I took his name and made the main character George. But it was truly inspired by this bus driver's love for life that inspired me to write a book that would impact a lot of people around the world. And it was that bus driver that did it. I think of my grandmother who made the most amazing soup. Do you have someone in your family who makes an amazing dish? Or what about someone who made an amazing dish, but after they passed on, other people tried to make the same recipe, but it never came out as good? I'm convinced their love is what makes the difference. I used to be in the restaurant business, and different cooks could actually try to make the same meal and do everything exactly the same way, and it still comes out a little different. And there's a phenomenon where certain wine tasters could actually tell the personality of a winemaker by tasting their wine. I know it's true. I saw it on 60 Minutes. So we can't separate who makes the dish from what we experience. We can't separate the soup maker from the soup. And we can't separate the culture, our school, and our students from the love that we put into it. The love that we put into it determines the quality of it. I think of Pavarotti, the famous opera singer. He was asked about his incredible discipline for his craft. He said, everyone thinks it's discipline. He said, it's not discipline, it's devotion. He was so devoted to his craft that it drove his discipline. He loved it so much that he was disciplined. It's hard to be disciplined if we don't have love. And the reason why love is also so powerful is because it casts out fear. And today, there is so much fear out in the world that it could actually sabotage our health, our happiness, our teamwork, our performance, everything. But if we focus on the love will actually override the fear that we have. I always tell teachers, I always tell business leaders, sports people, just focus on the love that you have for your students and the work that you do. You start to feel burned out, remember your purpose, bring love back to it. Don't allow the fear and the stress and the negativity, sometimes the parents, don't allow any of that to affect you. Just focus on the love that you have. Once you do that, everything else starts to dissipate, and you start to get energized in the process. Purpose and love are what energize us to do this great work, and it makes all the difference in the world. The next word I think about is serve. It's not just love, but it's also serving. And one thing I know is that you don't have to be great to serve, but you have to serve to be great. And I learned this from my mom. I was visiting my mom in South Florida where she lived, and she was a realtor. And she was feeling tired, but she said, let's go take a walk. So now we're taking a walk, and we're on our way to the grocery store. And I could tell that she was getting really tired, so I said, Mom, let's turn back. She said, no. I want to go to the grocery store. I want to get you some stuff to make you a sandwich. So we got the ingredients, and we made our way back. My mom thought I would starve to death if I didn't have this sandwich for my 5-hour drive home. And so we got the stuff. We made our way back. She looked exhausted. First thing she did was walk right into that kitchen, and she made me a sandwich. Yes, it was awesome. I ate that sandwich on the drive home, but I honestly didn't think much about the sandwich at that time. I didn't think much about the sandwich at all for a little while. And then I got a call that she was dying, and she had cancer. And she never told us how bad it was. So I raced down there to go see her, and saw her a little bit, but then just like not herself, out of it completely, and she died the next day. And I often think about the fact that here she was battling cancer, and yet what was her biggest priority? Making me a sandwich. We think about like love and serving about the big things. It's always about the little things that we do with a big dose of love, a big dose of service that make the greatest impact. And that's why I love teachers. Honestly, that's why I'm fired up and I came here, because I know the difference you make and I know how much you give. Like, you give everything that you are to help your students become all they're meant to be. Like, yes, we honor military, we clap for police, we honor them, but guess what? I feel the same way about you. The way that they serve and sacrifice, that brings them to greatness in our eyes. Well, I believe that you serve and sacrifice every day, and that is how I see greatness in you. Are you with me on that? And I'm not just saying that because I'm here. I really believe that. That's why I speak to educators. And so that's why I come to schools like this, because I know the difference. And there may be, maybe some of you are like, yeah, whatever, but there might be one person who needed to hear this message today. And because you don't leave, because you stay energized, because you stay in this profession, you will wind up impacting lives of students, many students' lives, and just maybe even one life. And that student may go on to change the world. You just never know. I think about my teachers, and I want to move towards care. Love, serve, and care. The ones who impacted me the most. Not just the people who impacted me. Like, these are like the major impactors in my life. They were teachers. They were teachers. I remember Mrs. Omacher and Mrs. Leota, kindergarten. I remember my mom getting a divorce when I was a year old. I don't remember the day, but I grew up in that. And I remember the love and the warmth and the smiles of these teachers when I would go to school. And I remember the way they moved me around the room because I talked too much. I only got a few minutes, 10 minutes left. So, but I talked too much. I was preparing for my future career as a speaker. But I remember, like, I can still see them to this day in their smiles. I remember Coach Keller, 8th grade. He was my math teacher, and I got cut from the baseball team. And Coach Keller encouraged me to go run track. And I was a short, chubby kid, and so he said, just run track, you'll get faster. And so I started running track, And next thing you know, I started losing weight. All of a sudden, I hit a little bit of a growth spurt, obviously not much. And then, I kept on running, and next thing you know, I realized I was fast. And it gave me this confidence during a really difficult time in my life when I needed it most. And Coach Keller impacted my life. And then there was Tony Chiazza in 9th grade. He saw me play basketball. And after seeing me play basketball, he was on the side of the court, like right here. And he said, hey, come over here. I went over there. He goes, I think you should play lacrosse. So he encouraged me to go out for the lacrosse team. I never played lacrosse, but I went out for the team. First couple of days of practice, I'm trying to throw, I'm trying to catch. I couldn't. So I went up to him after practice one day. I said, Coach, I can't do this. I'm going to quit. I'm going to go play baseball. He looked me right in the eyes. He said, you're not quitting. One day you're going to play in college. One day you're going to play in the Ivy League. I didn't even know what the Ivy League was. My dad was a New York City police officer. My parents had like 1 year of college between them. Honestly, I had no clue what the Ivy League was. But because he said it, because he believed in me, I kept doing it. I would go on to play lacrosse at Cornell University. Yeah. And the experience would change my life. Change my life. And I think about Mrs. Omacher, Mrs. Leota. I think about Mrs. J. I think about Ivan Goldfarb. I think about Tony Chiazza, Coach Keller. I think about Mr. Lecklider. I still remember Mr. Lecklider. He asked what Pluto was, and I said it was the dog in Mickey Mouse, and I got in trouble. But I still remember it to this day. But I remember these teachers who impacted me. And yes, I went to Cornell, and it did change my life. Like when I got there, I was straight out of Long Island, New York. I had the gold chain, the tank top, the Camaro. I talked like this. My friends wore my regular clothes as their Halloween costumes. That's how bad it was. And I left there learning about culture and teamwork. I saw friends who had wealth and privilege, and I saw a whole world that was available to me. And it changed me. I mean, I literally would not be who I am today if it wasn't for the teachers in my life who led me to go there and who believed in me. Thank you, teachers. And again, I only tell you that because I know, most importantly, like your students will become who they become in so many ways because of the investment that you make in them. Yes, they may have problems at home. They may be going through things that we have no idea they're going through. It may be really difficult. I know what kids go through today. But I know this. I know your belief, the way you love them, the way you serve their heart, their talent, their potential, the way you care about them and show that you care, that will change everything. You might be the only encouraging voice they hear in a day. You may be the only one that actually believes in them in the course of their life over the next year. You may be the only person who speaks life to them and shows them what is possible for their life. That is the power of a positive educator. That is a difference maker. That is a life changer. That is someone who loves, serves, and cares. And as a result of that, that's how you made the greatest impact. There is a word I want you to remember. You don't have to choose it for your word of the year, but I know you're going to love it. It's called Meraki. Meraki, M-E-R-A-K-I. Meraki, M-E-R-A-K-I. It sounds like it's a Japanese word, but it's actually a Greek word. It means to do something with love, with soul, with creativity. It means to leave a piece of yourself in your work. It means to leave something behind. To leave a legacy. That's why I love your name. Is there anything more important than leaving a legacy of what you do, the impact you had? I turned 50 last January, and so I remember thinking, okay, I'm 50, because all throughout my 40s, I kept on saying I'm getting younger, stronger, faster, better. But you turn 50 and you go, okay, I'm getting older. But I said, okay, I have a new goal since I've learned to be optimistic. My new goal is this. I'm going for 100. In the words of the great American philosopher, John Bon Jovi, I'm halfway there. Living with a goal of leaving a legacy. And I know that you share in that, right? You share in that. That's the name of your school, which is like perfect, right? So your legacy, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? What kind of impact do you want to have? What kind of difference do you want to make? To do it, you're going to need to decide, am I going to be a carrot, an egg, or a coffee bean? Anyone know this? When you put a carrot into boiling hot water, what happens to the carrot? It gets soft. It gets weakened by its environment. The world is like a big pot of boiling hot water, and you can get weakened by your environment. You put an egg into boiling hot water, what happens to the egg? Hard-boiled eggs. We can have a hardened heart, bitter, angry, frustrated, where we don't care anymore. And if you don't love, you don't serve, you don't care, you can't be great, and you can't bring out the greatness in others. Love is what builds greatness. Fear eventually crumbles, but love endures. Love builds greatness. So we do not want to be the egg. We don't want to be the carrot, fearful, stressed, anxious, worry. We don't want to be that. I've been there. I have failed miserably in that. I crumbled under the pressure of losing my job during the dot-com crash. Small children, negativity. But that would become a time when I would learn to be a coffee bean. You take a coffee bean and you put that into boiling hot water. What happens even if it's not ground up? Espresso, dark brown roasted coffee. Even if it's not ground up, you can try this, and you can do the experiment with the kids if you want. Even if it's not ground up, it will transform the water into coffee. Think about that. The carrot, the egg are impacted by the environment and the pressure and the heat and the negativity, the adversity. But the coffee bean, the smallest of all three, the power inside of it transforms the environment that it's in. It's not defined by its circumstance, it defines its circumstance. It's not impacted by the environment, instead it impacts its environment. And that is our power as teachers, as educators. We're not defined by all the stuff going on in the world. What we do every day is we control. We win each day. We win each day. We control. And if we create from the inside out, our love, our spirit, our joy, our passion, our purpose, our optimism, our belief, our work ethic, and if we do that every single day from inside of us, we'll continue to make amazing coffee and transform the environments that we're in. Most importantly, we will help kids become coffee beans who change the world outside of them. And that's what it's all about, being a coffee bean. So who's ready to be a coffee bean? I know you are. Before I close with a final thought, any questions? We have a few moments for questions. Feel free to ask me anything you want to ask, and it could be personal. I am transparent. I'll answer anything. You teach kindergarten? Love, serve, and care. Care. All right, sorry, I got it. Any other questions? No, I appreciate it. We have a Power of Positive Schools program where people get certified to teach the Positive Leadership program around the country. So you get certified in that, and then you can actually teach it to schools all here, everywhere. So people join the team that way. We don't hire people, but we just have people who become trained, and then they go out and deliver that. It's really cool. Yeah, we've thousands of educators around the country now, and school districts and principals. And we are passionate about transforming schools from the inside out. You put a great principal in a school, that principal, a great leader, is going to transform the school. It's all about the leadership that you have, and I know you have great leaders, but that's what it's about. You put a great teacher in the classroom, that teacher is going to impact that classroom and those kids' lives. That's what it's all about. So we're passionate about that. But thank you for asking that. I appreciate that. And I'm honored that you would ask. Thank you for doing that. And Petra and Marlo could talk to you about afterwards about anything you're interested in. Okay, any other questions? Anything? Bueller, anybody? Yeah. Yeah, how'd I go from a teacher, bartender to that? So yeah, I got my master's in teaching, as I said. Then I was bartending while I was getting my master's in teaching. And so I was paying for my way through grad school. And then that's how I then got, the bar that I eventually bought was next door to me, where I was bartending. And I met the owner, and I was waiting for my shift. And I said, would you ever sell this place? He said, everything's for sale. And so I got some investors together. Somehow, I didn't know. I was 24 years old, didn't know what I was doing, but I got these people together and opened up this place, and it became successful. And so that led me more into the business world of doing that. I ran for city council I lost. I walked door to door to 7,000 houses. I was 26. I almost won, but I did that. Went to law school for a year and a half, dropped out after a year and a half, which most people don't drop out after a year and a half. Those are the hard years, but I knew it wasn't for me, so I had to walk away. I believe you quit when you quit for the right reasons. And so I had to do, but I started a nonprofit organization that raised money for youth-focused charities, and we did a lot of events around town, and I did that. And then went to go work for this .com, thought I was gonna make my fortune, and then that crashed. And it was during that time I said, all right, what am I born to do? Why am I here? Why am I so miserable? And I realized I wasn't living my purpose and passion. And I thought back to when I was teaching and when I was doing the nonprofit. That's when I was happiest, like serving, impacting. What would allow me to do that? And literally, boom, came to me writing and speaking. And I never wrote and spoke before, but okay, I'm gonna write and speak. And I didn't know I would write 25 books later, but I just found my purpose and calling in doing that. And that's how that happened, yeah. So I tell young people all the time, like, it's okay to not know what you want to do when you're 12. Like, it's okay. When you're 17, it's okay. When you're 19, it's okay. People feel like they have to know today, and you don't always know. There was a question in the back? You know what? I actually don't drink coffee, which is funny. I don't. I have to be honest. I'm always honest. I don't drink coffee. But my wife does every day, and she is naturally positive, so maybe I should. Yeah. What I taught 8th grade, right? What? 8th grade. Yep. Middle school social studies. And I loved it. I loved it. By the way, people ask me, like, what are you? I actually still consider myself a teacher. So what do I teach? I teach positive leadership. I teach how to become a stronger team, how to be a strong team. We have a Power of a Positive Team book and program where we help people become strong teams, cohesive staffs, big part of what we do. So I love, like, helping teach leadership and teach also how to be a strong team. Love that. I want to close with this, though. As I think about you all and this half of the year that you've created so far, there's a great story I heard. Well, first I want to tell you about the U.S. women's soccer team. I got to tell you that real quick. Remember when they won the World Cup a few years ago? They would meet after every single game, and they would talk about who messed up, who needed to play better, and maybe who missed assignments. They would also talk about positive things, but they would also challenge each other. And so Ali Long, who was a member of the team, she was on my podcast, Positive University, and she was saying that no one took it personal, even though they did that, because they all wanted to be great together. They had a small ego and a big mission. And I just love that. Like, they had difficult conversations, what we often have to do to be a great staff and to be a great team. But as a result of having a greater mission together, that drove them every day, and it's why they were so successful. So I just love that story. I wanted to make sure I shared that with you. But I want to close with the story of Donatello, not the Teenage Mutant Ninja Donatello, but the other Donatello. During the 1500s, he received a 3-ton marble block of stone. And so he inspects the stone. He sees all the flaws and all the cracks in the stone, all the mistakes. So he's like, send it back to the UPS drivers of the day. They're like, we can't take it back. It's 3 tons. So they had this idea. Michelangelo lived down the street. He was known to be absent-minded. They said, let's bring it to him. He wouldn't even know that he never ordered it. And so they brought the stone to him, and Michelangelo sees the stone, he inspects it, and he sees all the flaws and all the mistakes and all the cracks. But he decides to do something with it. He thought it'd be a great challenge to his craftsmanship to see what he can build. And out of that 3-ton marble block of stone, he would go on to create the statue of David, one of the greatest, most valuable art treasures in the world. Think about that. All the mistakes, all the flaws, all the challenges, he would create an incredible masterpiece. That's like being an educator. There's going to be flaws, there's going to be mistakes, there's going to be challenges. Nothing is perfect. There's so much adversity, there's so many obstacles, but you take all of that, and you are craftsmen and you are craftswomen, and you get together and you create a masterpiece which becomes your school year, and it becomes your students who become the best version of themselves. That's the power of what you do every day, creating masterpieces in their lives. And if you keep planting those seeds that we talked about earlier, keep planting, keep investing, keep loving, keep serving, keep caring. If you keep doing that, what you do know is that a harvest will come. You may not see the harvest. You may not see the future. They may not come back to you and tell you, as I did and told my teachers, because I got a chance to tell some of them. They may not do that, but you plant them knowing that you're creating masterpieces every day in their lives and creating fruit for them to enjoy for years to come. So I want to thank you so much for the difference you make, the impact that you have. And if you ever want to connect with me, or if I can ever encourage you along the way, my information is on that handout. And I do respond to personal questions, personal challenges. My mission of years ago of one person at a time, I still maintain that because I've got to walk the walk. And I still do respond to people. I just did a 10-second video yesterday for someone whose child was struggling. And so I'm always willing to do that. If I can ever help you in any way, just don't all reach out at once, please. But if you do reach out, I will definitely respond. You can test me on that, and you will see. But most importantly, thank you for the work that you do. I hope this gave you some, even just a little boost to finish this year strong, and then reflect, have some time off, enjoy the holidays, and come back for an amazing 2022. Who's ready for that? 2022. Let's do this. Can we play some music, please? Now what I want you to do is stand up and give yourselves, not me, each other, a hand for the impact that you have.
I feel like new sunglasses, like a brand new pair of jeans. I feel like taking chances.
Now high five each other if that's okay.
Like 17. I feel like windows roll down new city streets and cabs. I feel like anything.
Are we done?
can happen, like
Is anyone coming up?
you
You done?
take me
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Have an awesome day. Thank you.
Never thought I'd feel like this. Like when I close my eyes and don't even care if anyone sees me dance. Like I can fly and don't even think of touching the ground. Like a heartbeat skip, like an open page, like a one-way trip on an aeroplane. It's the way that I feel when I'm with you. Brand new. Brand new. I feel like a young John Cusack, like making big mistakes. I feel like for the first time in a long time, I am not afraid. I feel like a kid. Never thought it'd feel like this. Like when I close my eyes and don't even care if anyone sees me dancing. Like I can fly and I don't even think of touching the ground. Like a heartbeat skip, like an open page, like a one-way trip on an aeroplane. It's the way that I feel when I'm with you. Brand new. Time will always try to make us. Time will always try to make us. You remind me what I used to know. Like when I close my eyes and don't even care if anyone sees me dancing. Like I can fly and I don't even think of touching the ground. Like a heartbeat skip, like an open page, like a one-way trip on an aeroplane. It's the way that I feel when I'm with you. Brand new. night. I am all